Have you ever stared at your screen, knowing exactly what your trading plan says, but still clicked buy or sell because your emotions got the better of you? If that sounds familiar, you're not broken, you're human. Every trader has faced the same battle. The truth is, the market doesn't beat us. We beat ourselves. With fear, greed, hesitation, and overconfidence, this video is not another list of strategies or indicators. It's about mastering the one thing that controls everything. Else, your emotions. Because until you learn to manage what's happening in your head, no strategy in the world will save your account. Here, you'll discover how to think like a calm, disciplined trader, how to build emotional armor against fear and greed, and how to finally trade without that constant roller coaster of stress. And if you want even more lessons like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because this journey isn't just about learning to trade, it's about learning to master yourself. Chapter 1. Master your mind. Master your trades. Have you ever sat in front of your trading screen with the perfect setup in front of you? Every indicator aligned, the trend crystal clear. Yet somehow, when it came time to click the button, your finger froze. Or maybe you entered the trade, watched it go slightly against you, and then panicked, closing it early, only to see the market reverse and move, exactly as you predicted. Moments like these don't come from lack of knowledge. They come from lack of emotional control. And that, more than any technical skill, is what separates consistent traders from struggling ones. The truth is this: trading is 90% psychology and 10% strategy. That statement may sound cliché, but after 20 years in the markets, I can tell you it's absolutely real. Anyone can learn chart patterns, candlestick formations, or risk management rules. What's far harder is learning how to master your own brain when real money is on the line. The market is designed to test your patience, exploit your fears, and magnify your greed. It's a mirror that reflects your deepest emotional weaknesses. Until you master that mirror, you'll remain stuck in cycles of frustration. Think about it this way. If two traders are given the exact same profitable system, why does one succeed while the other fails? It's not because the rules are different. It's because the second trader couldn't follow them with discipline. They broke their stop loss, chased a setup, or doubled down when they shouldn't have. The system didn't fail them. Their emotions did. And this is why learning technicals alone is not enough. Without mastering your psychology, you'll sabotage yourself before the market even has a chance to test you. Let's break down the most common emotions every trader battles: fear, greed, and FOMO. Fear shows up the moment you hesitate to take a trade you know is valid because you're scared of losing money. Greed surfaces after a winning streak when you feel invincible and start risking too much in search of bigger gains. And FOMO, the fear of missing out, hits when you see the market moving without you, and suddenly you jump in late, abandoning your plan, only to get burned. These three emotions are responsible for the majority of trading mistakes, and they're far more dangerous than any bad economic report or surprise Fed announcement. To understand why these emotions control us, we need to look at the science. The human brain is wired for survival, not trading. Our ancestors lived in environments where fear kept them alive. If they saw danger, fear told them to run. Greed made sense too. It pushed them to gather more food when resources were scarce. FOMO also had evolutionary benefits. If the tribe was moving somewhere, you didn't want to be left behind. These instincts served us in the wild, but in the markets, they sabotage us. A red candlestick isn't a tiger ready to attack, but your brain reacts as if it is. A string of green candles isn't free food, but greed makes you think the opportunity is endless. Understanding this evolutionary mismatch is the first step to overcoming it. Wall Street knows these mental traps exist. In fact, big players exploit them. Ever wonder why markets often spike just enough to hit retail stop-loss orders before reversing? It's because institutions understand how fear and greed move the masses. They know most retail traders panic sell at the bottom and buy at the top. The market is essentially a battlefield of emotions, and the winners are those who can remain calm while everyone else is losing control. So how do you escape these traps? It begins with awareness. The moment you recognize that your urge to close a trade early is fear, or that your temptation to add more size after a win is greed, you create a gap between emotion and action. That tiny gap is powerful. It gives you the chance to pause and choose differently. Most traders act on emotion instantly, without thinking. But if you can insert even a few seconds of conscious awareness, you've already gained an edge. One of the simplest techniques to pause and reset is what I call the 90-second rule. Neuroscience shows that an emotional chemical surge in the brain lasts about 90 seconds unless you feed it with more thoughts. So when you feel panic or greed rising, step back and do nothing for 90 seconds. Breathe deeply. Look away from the screen. Let the wave pass. You'll be surprised how much calmer you feel afterward and how much better your decisions become. Another strategy is creating a trading checklist you must review before every trade. This checklist is your defense against emotional impulses. For example, your checklist might include: is this trade part of my plan? Does the risk-reward meet my rules? Am I risking only 1 to 2% of my capital? If any answer is no, you don't enter. By forcing yourself to answer objective questions, you distance yourself from emotional decisions. Over time, this builds discipline, like a muscle that grows stronger with repetition. Top traders don't avoid emotions entirely. They simply don't let emotions dictate their actions. They've built resilience through years of practice. They know that losses are part of the game, not personal failures. They know that wins don't make them geniuses, just as losses don't make them failures. They detach their self-worth from their trading results. That detachment is critical because the more personal you take a trade, the harder it becomes to stay objective. One method professionals use to detach is thinking in probabilities. Instead of viewing each trade as right or wrong, they see it as one outcome in a series of many. If you flip a coin 100 times, you don't panic when a single flip comes up tails. You know the long-term odds will play out. Trading is the same. If your system has a proven edge, each trade is just one coin flip in the bigger picture. By focusing on probabilities instead of outcomes, you reduce the emotional roller coaster of wins and losses. Another powerful tool is journaling. Writing down your trades, along with your thoughts and emotions, creates a mirror you can study later. You'll begin to notice patterns. Maybe you overtrade on Mondays or take reckless risks after a big win. Journaling exposes these tendencies, allowing you to correct them. It's like having a coach who shows you your blind spots. Many traders resist journaling because it feels tedious, but those who commit to it often experience breakthroughs in their emotional control. Of course, environment matters too. If your trading desk is cluttered, your phone is buzzing with notifications, and you're glued to social media, your emotions will run wild. A clean, quiet workspace signals to your brain that trading is a focused activity. Limiting news intake also helps. The media thrives on drama. Markets crash, stocks soar, and feeding on that constantly will spike your emotions. Remember, your job is not to get excited by headlines, but to execute your plan calmly. Breathing techniques are another underrated weapon. Deep, controlled breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, calming your body's stress response. When you feel your heart racing in a trade, take 5 slow breaths, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. It sounds simple, but it has a measurable effect on your decision-making clarity. Some traders even use meditation before market open to center themselves. This isn't about being spiritual. It's about training your brain to stay calm under pressure. Let me share a quick story. Years ago, I had a trade that went against me instantly. My plan said to wait, but panic took over. I closed the position for a small loss, only to watch the market reverse minutes later, hitting my original profit target. I was furious with myself. That night, I wrote in my journal, "My biggest enemy isn't the market, it's my fear." That realization changed everything. I began focusing less on predicting markets and more on managing my reactions. Slowly, my trading turned around, not because my strategy improved, but because I improved. Here's the key lesson. Your emotions will always be present, but you can learn to control your response. Just like professional athletes feel pressure in big moments, yet perform anyway, traders can feel fear or greed without acting on them. The difference between amateurs and professionals isn't the absence of emotion. It's the ability to act according to plan, despite emotion. Mastering your mind in trading doesn't happen overnight. It requires daily practice, just like going to the gym. Each time you resist the urge to chase a trade, you strengthen your discipline. Each time you stick to your stop loss instead of moving it, you build resilience. Over weeks and months, these small wins accumulate into unshakable confidence. By the end of this book, you'll have practical tools to handle the emotional chaos of trading. But it starts here, with the recognition that psychology isn't just part of trading. It is trading. Master your mind, and you truly master your trades. Fail to master it, and no amount of technical skill will save you. So as you move forward, remember this. The charts don't beat you. The person in the mirror does. Your job is not to eliminate emotions, but to learn how to channel them, control them, and rise above them. Once you do, trading stops being a roller coaster of stress and becomes a game of probabilities, discipline, and calm execution. That's the foundation of everything we'll build together in this book. From here on, we're not just learning how to trade. We're learning how to think, feel, and act like a trader who lasts. Chapter 2. Neutral Thinking. The Trader's Secret Weapon. Have you ever noticed how trading feels like an emotional roller coaster? One day, you're on top of the world after a big win, and the next, you're crushed by a painful loss. It feels like every trade has the power to make or break your mood. You tell yourself, after a win, "I'm finally getting it. I'm going to kill the market this week." And then, after a loss, you whisper, "Maybe I'm just not cut out for this." That emotional pendulum is exactly what keeps most traders stuck. They swing between overconfidence and self-doubt, between euphoria and despair. It's exhausting, and worse, it destroys consistency. But here's the thing most traders don't realize. Both positivity and negativity are dangerous in trading. Sounds strange, right? We're taught our whole lives to stay positive and believe in ourselves. But in trading, too much positivity is just as destructive as negativity. Why? Because both create bias. A positive mindset after a win can make you reckless, overconfident, and blind to risk. A negative mindset after a loss can make you fearful, hesitant, and unwilling to take valid setups. In both cases, your emotions, not your system, are in control. This is why neutral thinking is the trader's secret weapon. Neutral thinking doesn't mean being pessimistic or cold. It means looking at the market without judgment, without attaching personal value to each outcome. It's about saying, "This trade is just one event in a series of many. It doesn't define me. it doesn't predict my future, and it doesn't deserve to control my emotions. Neutral thinking allows you to trade with clarity, discipline, and consistency because you're no longer chained to the emotional highs and lows of wins and losses. Think of it like this. A surgeon performing heart surgery can't afford to be overly positive or overly negative. They can't think, "I'm the best doctor in the world, nothing can go wrong," or "I'm terrified of messing up." Both extremes could lead to disaster. Instead, they stay neutral, focused on the process, following their training step by step. That's how they save lives. In trading, your account balance is on the line. You need the same calm, professional neutrality. So how do you actually develop neutral thinking in practice? Let's start by breaking down why positivity and negativity trap us. After a win, dopamine floods the brain. You feel like a genius. That chemical high tricks you into thinking you've unlocked the market. Suddenly, you start ignoring your rules. Maybe you increase your position size because this one feels right. Or you stop respecting your stop loss because the market will come back. This overconfidence leads to sloppy mistakes that wipe out your gains. The irony? Wins can often lead to bigger losses than losses themselves, simply because they fuel recklessness. On the flip side, after a loss, cortisol and adrenaline spike. Your body treats financial loss like physical pain. You start doubting yourself, hesitating on the next trade. Or worse, you go into revenge mode, trying to win it back. In that state, you're not trading your system, you're trading your emotions. And the market loves punishing emotional traders. Neutral thinking cuts through both traps. Instead of celebrating wildly after a win or beating yourself up after a loss, you simply acknowledge what happened, record it, and move on. The win doesn't make you a genius. The loss doesn't make you a failure. They're just data points in the long game. This mindset is what separates pros from amateurs. One way to reset after any trade, win or lose, is through a mental reset routine. Pro athletes use this all the time. For example, after a missed shot, basketball players tap their chest or clap their hands, signaling to their brain, "Reset. Next play." Traders need the same ritual. Maybe after closing a trade, you take 3 deep breaths, stretch, or stand up and sip water. The key is to create a small action that marks the end of one trade and clears your mind before the next. Without a reset, emotions from the last trade bleed into the next, poisoning your decision-making. I remember back in 2008, during the financial crisis, I had a string of wins shorting bank stocks. I felt unstoppable. Then one day, I ignored my rules, added too much size, and got crushed. One trade erased weeks of profit. That day I learned, the market punishes ego. From then on, I developed a reset routine. After every trade, I forced myself to pause, breathe, and journal what I did right or wrong. That little habit saved me countless times from spiraling into revenge trading. Neutral thinking also means focusing on the process, not the outcome. Most traders obsess over their profit and loss statement. They check their account balance after every trade, sometimes after every tick. This obsession keeps emotions at the center, but the best traders measure themselves by execution, not by dollars. They ask, did I follow my plan? Did I stick to my risk rules? Did I stay disciplined? If the answer is yes, the outcome doesn't matter. A losing trade can still be a successful execution. And over time, successful executions lead to profitable results. It's like professional poker. The best players don't judge themselves by one hand. They judge themselves by whether they played the hand correctly based on probabilities. Even if they lose, they know they made the right decision. Trading is no different. You can't control outcomes, but you can control execution, And the more you focus on execution, the less you'll care about any single trade's result. That's neutrality in action. Developing neutral thinking also requires building daily routines that keep your mind balanced. Some traders meditate for 10 minutes before market open, clearing their thoughts. Others review affirmations like, "I am a process-driven trader. My edge plays out over time." Some do visualization exercises, imagining themselves staying calm through losses. These routines may sound simple, but they rewire your brain. They remind you that trading is not about emotional highs and lows, but about consistent, focused behavior. Another practice that supports neutrality is limiting exposure to outside noise. Social media, trading forums, and even financial news can infect your mindset. You see other traders bragging about massive wins, and suddenly you feel FOMO. Or you hear analysts predicting doom, and fear creeps in. Neutral thinking requires insulating yourself from this noise. Follow your plan, not the crowd. The market doesn't reward who screams the loudest. It rewards who stays disciplined the longest. Now, some people worry that neutral thinking makes you robotic. They ask, if I'm neutral, won't I lose my passion for trading? The answer is no. Neutral thinking doesn't kill passion, it preserves it. Because when you stop letting emotions whip you around, trading becomes less stressful, less exhausting. You can enjoy the game without burning out. In fact, neutrality lets you trade like a machine while still being fully human. You'll still feel emotions, but they won't dictate your decisions. Instead, your decisions will come from clarity. Consider this. Warren Buffett once said, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Neutrality is patience in disguise. It's the ability to sit and wait without getting emotional." Most traders fail not because they lack skill, but because they can't wait. They overtrade, chasing action, driven by emotional need. Neutral thinking frees you from that trap. It gives you the patience to wait for your setups, the discipline to follow your plan, and the calm to let probabilities play out. Here's a mental exercise you can try. Imagine every trade is just a coin flip with slightly better odds than 50-50. Your edge might be 55,000 to 45 or 60-40. Would you care about one flip? No. You'd focus on the long series. Neutrality is about zooming out, seeing the big picture instead of obsessing over the latest tick. Once you adopt this mindset, losses stop feeling catastrophic. Wins stop inflating your ego. Everything becomes just part of the game. To master neutrality, you must also confront your identity as a trader. Many people tie their self-worth to their account balance. When they win, they feel like a success. When they lose, they feel like a failure. This identity trap makes neutrality impossible. To escape, you must separate who you are from what your results are. You are not your P&L. You're not your last trade. You are a human learning a skill. And like any skill, it takes time and mistakes to master. Once you truly internalize that, losses stop feeling personal, and neutrality becomes natural. I'll never forget a conversation I had with a veteran trader in Chicago. He told me, "Kid, your job isn't to be right. Your job is to follow your edge. If you focus on being right, every loss will crush you. But if you focus on following your edge, every trade becomes just another step in the process." That wisdom changed the way I saw the market. It taught me that neutrality isn't about being emotionless. It's about being focused on what actually matters. Neutral thinking is not easy to adopt. At first, your brain will fight it. After all, emotions are deeply wired into our survival system. But like any muscle, neutrality strengthens with repetition. The more you practice resetting after trades, focusing on process, and detaching from outcomes, the more natural it becomes. One day, you'll look back and realize you no longer ride the emotional roller coaster. You'll still feel the highs and lows, but they'll pass through you instead of controlling you. Chapter 3. Building Emotional Armor. If you've ever left the trading desk feeling like you just went 12 rounds with a heavyweight boxer, you know how draining the market can be. It's not just numbers moving on a screen. It's a constant, emotional battlefield. One moment, you're confident and composed. The next, you're second-guessing every move. Fear, greed, doubt. They sneak in like uninvited guests, wrecking your focus and destroying your edge. That's why, if you want to survive in this game long-term, you don't just need a strategy. You need emotional armor. Emotional armor is the mental shield that protects you from yourself. It doesn't mean you'll stop feeling fear, greed, or doubt altogether. Those emotions are part of being human, but with armor in place, those emotions won't pierce through and dictate your actions. You'll notice them, acknowledge them, and then let them slide off without damage. Without armor, even the best trading strategy will collapse under pressure. With armor, you can face the chaos of the markets and still execute your plan with calm precision. The first step to building emotional armor is understanding where the attacks come from. Fear usually hits when money is at risk. You're afraid of losing, so you hesitate to enter trades or cut winners too quickly. Greed attacks after a win, tempting you to risk more than you should or ignore your stop-loss. Doubt creeps in after a string of losses, making you question your system and your ability. These three emotions are like arrows flying at you every single trading session. Without armor, you'll get pierced again and again. So how do you defend yourself? One of the most effective tools is visualization. Athletes have used it for decades to prepare for big moments. Michael Jordan didn't just walk onto the court and hope for the best. He mentally rehearsed making the shot before the game even started. Traders can do the same. Before market open, take 5 minutes to visualize different scenarios. Imagine yourself entering a trade and the market going against you. See yourself calmly following your stop-loss instead of panicking. Picture the trade hitting your target and you exiting with discipline, without chasing. By rehearsing these moments in your mind, you train your brain to respond with calmness when the real thing happens. Visualization isn't about wishful thinking. It's about preparing your nervous system. When you mentally walk through scenarios in advance, your brain treats them almost like real experiences. So when the actual situation occurs, you don't feel shocked. You feel ready. This readiness is armor. Another layer of armor is journaling. I know, most traders roll their eyes at the idea. It sounds boring, like extra homework. But journaling is one of the most powerful tools for emotional growth. Every time you make a trade, jot down not just the numbers, but your thoughts and feelings. Write about why you took the trade, how you felt entering, what emotions came up while you were in it, and why you exited. Over time, patterns emerge. Maybe you'll realize that you always feel anxious on Mondays, or that after 3 wins in a row, you tend to overtrade. Journaling exposes your blind spots, and once you see them, you can fix them. I used to think I didn't need a journal because I knew what I was doing wrong. But when I finally committed to writing things down, I saw a clear pattern. My worst losses always came after big wins. I was drunk on confidence. That realization alone saved me thousands of dollars because I learned to step away after a big win and reset before jumping back in. Without the journal, I would have stayed blind to the pattern. With it, I built a shield against my own greed. Your environment is another critical part of emotional armor. If your trading desk looks like a war zone, coffee cups everywhere, phone buzzing with notifications, TV blaring financial news, you're setting yourself up for chaos. Your environment reflects your mind, and your mind reflects your environment. A cluttered, noisy space makes it harder to stay calm. On the other hand, a clean, organized workspace signals to your brain that trading is a focused, professional activity. Just like a surgeon prepares a sterile operating room before surgery, a trader should prepare a clean environment before trading. News and social media are emotional landmines too. The financial media thrives on drama because drama sells. Headlines scream about market crashes or stocks soaring to the moon. And before you know it, your emotions are spiking. Social media is even worse. Traders bragging about huge wins or showing off profits that may or may not even be real. If you let that noise into your head, you'll start making decisions based on hype instead of your plan. Part of emotional armor is setting boundaries. Limit your exposure to news. Unfollow accounts that trigger FOMO. Protect your mental space as fiercely as you protect your capital. But emotional armor isn't just about defense. It's also about strengthening yourself. Think of it like weightlifting for the mind. One of the best exercises is controlled breathing. When stress hits, your body reacts with shallow, rapid breaths, which only makes you more anxious. By practicing deep, slow breathing, you activate your body's relaxation response. Try this. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale through your mouth for 4, hold for 4. Repeat this box breathing cycle for 2 minutes before or during trading. It calms your nervous system and clears your head. Over time, this becomes automatic, and you'll notice yourself staying calmer under pressure. Another strengthening exercise is building pre-market routines. Instead of rushing to your desk and jumping straight into the charts, start your day with a consistent ritual. Maybe it's 10 minutes of meditation, followed by reviewing your trading plan, and then visualizing your trades. This ritual signals to your brain that you're entering trader mode. Without it, you'll carry outside stress. Arguments with your spouse, traffic frustrations, unfinished chores into your trading, and those emotions will cloud your judgment. A pre-market routine builds a mental shield between your personal life and your trading life. Let me share another story. A trader I mentored years ago was brilliant with technicals, but constantly sabotaged himself. He would overtrade after losses, freeze on valid setups, and swing between extreme confidence and despair. I asked him to do one thing: start journaling his emotions and clean up his trading desk. At first he laughed, but within a month, he noticed a dramatic difference. His journal showed him that most of his bad trades happened after reading Twitter posts from other traders. So he cut back on social media. His clean desk made him feel calmer and more focused. Slowly, his emotional armor thickened, and his results followed. Today, he trades full-time and swears journaling saved his career. Building emotional armor also requires accepting that losses are inevitable. Too many traders enter the market thinking they can avoid losing. That mindset makes every loss feel like a personal failure, which eats away at confidence. The truth is, losses are the cost of doing business. They're like expenses for a store owner. You wouldn't expect to run a store without paying rent or utilities. Likewise, you can't trade without taking losses. Once you accept losses as normal, they lose their emotional sting. Acceptance itself becomes armor. It's also important to remember that armor isn't built overnight. Just like physical fitness, mental fitness requires repetition. Every time you resist the urge to move a stop-loss, you strengthen your discipline. Every time you journal a mistake and learn from it, you thicken your armor. Every time you stick to your pre-market routine, you reinforce your defenses. Little by little, layer by layer, your armor grows. Eventually, it becomes second nature. And here's the best part. Once you build emotional armor for trading, it spills into other areas of life. You'll find yourself calmer in stressful conversations, more patient with setbacks, and less reactive to everyday frustrations. Trading becomes not just a way to grow your wealth, but a way to grow your character. The same shields that protect you from fear and greed in the market will protect you from fear and stress in life. When you step into the markets each day, you're stepping into a battlefield where emotions are the weapons used against you. Most traders walk in unarmored, hoping their strategy alone will save them. But strategies crack under pressure if the mind isn't protected. Emotional armor is what lets you stand tall when arrows of fear, greed, and doubt come flying. It doesn't make you invincible, but it makes you resilient. And in trading, resilience is often the difference between blowing up and lasting long enough for your edge to play out. So the next time you sit down at your desk, ask yourself, am I armored up? Have I visualized the day? Is my journal ready? Is my environment clean and quiet? Am I breathing calmly? If the answer is yes, you're not just entering the market with a strategy, you're entering with armor. And with armor, you give yourself the best possible chance to survive, adapt, and win in the long game of trading.